I want to tell you something about revenge. Real revenge, not the kind where you scream and cry and throw things and make a scene that everyone remembers for the wrong reasons. The quiet kind. The kind that arrives in a manila envelope. The kind that takes 3 weeks to execute and 3 minutes to deliver. The kind that does not require you to raise your voice even once. I was 26 years old. I had been planning my wedding for 4 months. And then on a Tuesday afternoon in March, I found out exactly who I was marrying. Here's what happened. My name is Avery Mitchell. I am 26 years old. I grew up in a small town outside San Antonio called Bern, the kind of Texas town that is genuinely beautiful and genuinely limiting simultaneously, where the limestone hills and the cypress trees along the river make everything look like a painting, and where the particular smallness of the world can feel like comfort or like a cage, depending on who you are and what you want. I wanted more than Bern. I moved to Austin at 22 for a marketing job at a tech startup that no longer exists, which is the Austin startup experience distilled to its essence. The startup folded after 14 months. By then, I had built enough of a network and enough of a portfolio to land at a mid-sized marketing agency downtown, where I have been for 3 years doing the work I am genuinely good at: brand storytelling, campaign strategy, the particular art of making people feel something about things they did not previously have feelings about. Austin kept me the way cities keep people who needed them. I am a person who needed Austin. I met Tyler Haines at 23, a friend's birthday party at a rooftop bar on 6th Street, the kind of Austin night that is warm even in October and loud in the way that feels festive rather than overwhelming, and that smells of cedar and possibility. Tyler was 30, dark hair, easy smile, the confidence of someone who had grown up being told he was exceptional and had decided to believe it. He worked in commercial real estate, development side, the part where deals get made and money moves and people who are good at it do very well quickly. He was good at it. He was good at most things that required charm and presence and the ability to make people feel like they were the most important person in the conversation. That I know now as a description of a particular skill set. At 23, I knew it as, he made me feel the most important person in the conversation. That is a powerful thing to be made to feel. We dated for 8 months before he told me he loved me. He said it on a Sunday morning in his apartment, not dramatically, not as a gesture, just the way you say things when they've been true for a while and you've finally decided to say them out loud. We were making breakfast. He was at the stove. He turned around and said it like he had just remembered something he meant to mention. "I love you. I've been meaning to say that." I laughed. "You've been meaning to say it?" "For a while," he said. "I kept waiting for the right moment, and then I realized there isn't a right moment. There's just the moment. This is the moment." I believed that. I believed everything about Tyler Haines for 3 years. I need to tell you about his best friend. His name was Jordan Webb. They had been friends since college, UT Austin, same fraternity, the kind of friendship forged in the particular crucible of shared early adulthood that sometimes lasts and sometimes doesn't, and in their case had lasted 10 years and showed no signs of stopping. Jordan was 31, also in real estate, though a different corner of it, investment analysis, the spreadsheet side rather than the deal side. He was quieter than Tyler, less immediately magnetic, the kind of person you did not notice right away and then noticed quite a lot once you did. I liked Jordan. I trusted Jordan the way you trust someone who has been in your life for 3 years without incident. That trust was complicated. I am getting to that. Tyler proposed in March of last year. We were at the lake, Lake Travis, a Sunday afternoon, the particular Texas spring when the bluebonnets are everywhere, and the light on the water does something that makes everything feel significant. He had brought a picnic. He had been slightly nervous all afternoon in a way I had noticed, but attributed to something work-related. He got down on one knee on the limestone shelf above the water. He said, "Avery, You are the best decision I have ever made. Will you make another one with me?" The ring was beautiful, a cushion-cut diamond on a rose gold band. He had clearly thought about it. It was exactly the kind of ring I would have chosen myself. I said yes. We drove back to Austin with the windows down. I called my mother from the passenger seat. She cried. I cried. Tyler held my hand on the gear shift the entire drive. 4 months of planning. The venue, a restored ranch property outside Austin with an oak tree alley and a barn that had been converted into an event space. The flowers, wildflowers, the Texas kind, bluebonnets and Indian printer and black-eyed Susans, the landscape of the state turned into centerpieces. The dress, a champagne silk that I had found on the 3rd appointment and cried in the fitting room trying on, which my mother said was the sign. The guest list, 106 people. Jordan Webb was in the wedding party. Best man, of course. It was a Tuesday afternoon in July, 4 months into the engagement. I was working from home, our apartment, Tyler's and mine. We had moved in together 6 months after the proposal, a 2-bedroom in South Congress with a kitchen I loved, and a porch that faced west and caught the evening light in a way that made every day feel like it ended well. Tyler was at the office, or so I thought. I was on a work call, video, my camera on, half my attention on the screen and half on the document I was editing, when I heard the front door. I frowned. 2:30 in the afternoon? He did not come home at 2:30. I muted myself on the call. I heard voices. 2 voices. Tyler's and someone else's. I should have stayed on my call. I should have let whatever was happening in my own apartment happen without my involvement. I should have trusted that there was an explanation. I did not stay on my call. I unmuted myself, said I needed 2 minutes, muted again, and walked quietly to the hallway. The bedroom door was not fully closed. I stopped outside it. I heard Tyler's voice, and then I heard another voice clearly enough to recognize it. Jordan. I stood in my own apartment for 11 seconds. I counted. Then I walked back to my desk. I unmuted myself. I finished the call. I sat at my desk for 40 minutes after it ended. At some point, I heard the front door again. One set of footsteps leaving. Then quiet. Then Tyler in the kitchen. "Hey," he called. "You working?" "Finishing up," I said. My voice was entirely steady. I don't know how. He came to the doorway of the office. He looked exactly like himself. Exactly like the person who had proposed on the limestone shelf above Lake Travis, with the bluebonnets everywhere. "Jordan stopped by," he said. "We had some stuff to go over for the bachelor party." "That's fine," I said. "You okay?" he said. "Tired, long call." He nodded. He went back to the kitchen. I sat at my desk and I looked at the wall in front of me, and I made a decision in approximately 30 seconds that would take 3 weeks to execute. I was not going to say anything. Not yet. Not without knowing the full shape of what I was dealing with. Not without understanding what this was and how long it had been, and what it meant for the 106 people who were planning to come to an oak tree alley outside Austin in 3 months. I was going to find out everything first, and then I was going to decide what to do with it. That evening, Tyler made dinner. He made the pasta I liked, the one with the brown butter and the sage, the one that he had learned specifically because I mentioned once that it was my favorite. We ate at the kitchen table. He told me about his day. I listened. I asked questions. I was entirely present and entirely somewhere else simultaneously. After dinner, he put his arm around me on the couch. He said, "You sure you're okay? You seem quiet." "Just tired," I said. "Long week." "Come here," he said. I leaned against him. I looked at the television, and I thought about a manila envelope. I did not know yet what would go inside it, but I knew, with the particular certainty of someone who had made a decision and recognized it as the right one, that there was going to be one. I started with what I could verify. I am a marketing strategist. My entire professional life is the management of information, finding it, shaping it, and delivering it in a way that achieves a specific outcome. I am good at research. I am good at patterns, and I am good at understanding what a set of facts means and what it does not mean, and the difference between the two. I applied all of that to Tyler Haines. Day 1, Wednesday, I went through our shared calendar. Tyler kept his work calendar shared with me, a transparency gesture from early in our relationship, a sign of openness that I had always appreciated. I went back 6 months. Jordan Webb appeared 14 times. Not unusual, they were close friends and occasional professional collaborators, but 14 specific calendar blocks, most of them mid-afternoon, and almost all of them labeled simply Jordan/work. Work. I noted the dates. Day 2, I called my best friend, Simone. Simone had been my closest friend since our first year in Austin. We had met at a networking event that neither of us wanted to be at and had bonded over our mutual desire to leave and gone for tacos instead. She was 28, worked in tech, and had the particular quality of someone who was deeply practical about emotional situations without being cold about them. I told her what I heard. She was quiet for a moment. "Are you sure?" she said. "I'm sure of what I heard," I said. "I'm not sure yet of what it means or how long it's been or anything else." "What do you need?" she said. "I need to know if this is what I think it is before I do anything." "How are you going to find out?" I had been thinking about that since Tuesday. "Jordan has a sister," I said. Simone was quiet. "Avery?" "Her name is Claire Webb," I said. "She's a corporate attorney in Austin, and Jordan are not close. He's mentioned it a few times. Something happened between them years ago. They barely speak. I've never met her." "Why are you telling me about Jordan's sister?" "Because," I said, if this has been going on, she might know, and if she knows and Jordan aren't close, she might talk," Simone said slowly. "She might," I said, "or she might not, but she's the one person I can think of who has no reason to protect Jordan specifically." Simone was quiet for a long moment. "That's very calculated," she said. "Yes," I said. "Okay," she said. "What do you need from me?" I found Claire Webb on LinkedIn in 4 minutes. Corporate attorney, partner at a mid-sized firm in the Domain, the North Austin Business District, specialized in real estate transactions and corporate compliance. Real estate. The same world Tyler and Jordan operated in from the legal side. I sent her a connection request with a brief note, professional, straightforward. I said I was in marketing, I was familiar with her brother through mutual connections, and I had a client who might be interested in legal counsel in her specialty area, and I wondered if she would be open to a brief coffee meeting. She accepted within 24 hours. We met the following Tuesday, a coffee shop in the Domain, her suggestion, near her office. She arrived exactly on time, the punctuality of someone who manages a demanding schedule and does not waste her own time or anyone else's. She was 34, dark hair, professional, the contained energy of a very competent person who has learned to be precise about where they direct it. She looked at me across the table with a kind of frank assessment that I appreciated. "You mentioned my brother," she said, "in your message." "I did," I said. "Can I be direct with you?" A pause. "Please," she said. I told her. Not everything, not the bedroom door or the 11 seconds in the hallway, just the shape of it. That I was engaged to Tyler Haines, that Tyler and Jordan were best friends, that I had reason to believe something had been happening between them. Claire Webb listened to all of it. When she finished, she was quiet for a long moment. She looked at her coffee. "How long have you been with Tyler?" she asked. 3 years, I said. Engaged for 4 months. She nodded slowly. "I'm going to tell you something," she said carefully, "and I want you to understand that I am not close with my brother. We have not been close for 6 years. What I tell you because I think you deserve to know, and not because of any loyalty to him." "I understand," I said. "I knew about Tyler," she said. "Jordan told me, the last time we spoke, which was 2 years ago at our father's birthday dinner. He had been drinking. He said something he probably did not intend to say, about someone he was involved with who was also involved with someone else." "You named Tyler?" "Not by name, but the description was specific enough. Real estate, Tyler's company, someone I knew of professionally." 2 years. It had been going on at least 2 years. 6 months before Tyler proposed. I sat with that. "There's something else," Claire said. I looked at her. "Tyler's company," she said carefully. "I have worked adjacent to some of his deals over the past 2 years. In my capacity as a real estate attorney, I have seen documentation that passed through my firm, not his clients, adjacent transactions. And there are some things in how he structures certain deals that are—" She paused. "Irregular," she said. "What kind of irregular?" I said. She looked at me for a long moment. "The kind that a compliance officer at the Texas Real Estate Commission would find interesting." I sat very still. "Do you have documentation?" I asked. Another long pause. "I have things that came through my firm in the normal course of business," she said. "Things I've been sitting on because I wasn't sure what to do with. Jordan is tangentially involved in some of it. He did the analysis on at least 2 of the deals, which is part of why I haven't done anything. I did not want to be the person who—" She stopped. "But," she said, "if someone else were to report it, someone with a direct connection to Tyler, someone who could say they discovered it independently." I looked at her. She looked at me. We understood each other completely without saying anything else. "Give me 2 weeks," she said. "I'll put together what I have." "Thank you," I said. We shook hands. I drove back to South Congress. I went home to the apartment with the kitchen I loved and the porch that caught the evening light. Tyler was home when I got there. He kissed me when I came in. He said, "Good day?" "Productive," I said. Claire Webb called me 12 days later. Not a text. A call. Her voice was careful. The particular careful of someone who has made a decision they are certain of and is delivering the consequence of it. She said, "I have a package for you. Can you meet me tomorrow?" "Yes," I said. "There's more than I expected," she said. "Tyler has been—" She paused. "It's significant," she said. "The compliance issues, it's significant." I sat down. "How significant?" I said. "The kind," she said, "that ends careers." I looked at the kitchen. The brown butter pasta Tyler had made me. The rose gold ring on my left hand. The oak tree alley on a ranch outside Austin where 106 people were planning to be in 10 weeks. "I'll be there," I said. The package was a manila envelope. Standard size. Thick. The weight of something significant. Not dramatically heavy, not a ream of paper, but the specific density of carefully selected documents that matter. Claire handed it to me across a corner table at the same coffee shop in the Domain. She did not say much. "Everything is labeled," she said. "The first section is transaction records. The second is email correspondence. These came through my firm as part of a deal that involved 3 parties, so they are legitimately in my possession. The third section is an analysis I prepared myself in my capacity as an attorney of what the irregularities indicate." "What do they indicate?" I said. "Wire fraud," she said quietly. And in at least 2 transactions, falsification of disclosure documents. Jordan's fingerprints are on the analysis side. Tyler structured the deals. I held the envelope. "What do I do with this?" I said. "That," she said, "is entirely up to you." She stood up. She put on her coat. "Avery," she said. I looked at her. "I'm sorry about your engagement. I mean that." "I know," I said. She left. I sat with the envelope for 20 minutes. I ordered another coffee I did not drink, and I thought about what I wanted. Not what I deserved, that was a different question and one I would get to later. What I wanted. What outcome I was working toward. There were several. 1. I wanted Tyler to not be able to walk down an aisle with me in 10 weeks and smile his easy smile and make vows he was not keeping. 2. I wanted the 106 people who had bought plane tickets and booked hotels and cleared their schedules to know that they had been invited to something that was not what it appeared to be. 3. I wanted Tyler Haines to understand in a way that was lasting and specific and undeniable that what he had done had consequences. The envelope addressed all 3, but the order mattered. I went home. Tyler was at the office. I sat at the kitchen table and I worked through the envelope for 4 hours. Claire's analysis was precise and damning. 2 deals in particular, a commercial property transaction in Rock Run and a residential development in Pflugerville, had documentation that showed Tyler had misrepresented the financial status of the buyers to lending institutions. Jordan had prepared the analysis that supported the misrepresentation. Both deals had closed. Both had generated significant commissions. Wire fraud. Falsification of disclosure documents. The kind of thing that, reported to the Texas Real Estate Commission and potentially to federal authorities, would not only end careers, but potentially result in criminal charges. I photographed every page. I sent the photographs to a cloud folder I had created specifically for this purpose. I put the original documents back in the envelope. I put the envelope in the bottom of my closet, behind a box of shoes Tyler had never looked in. Then I made a list. The Texas Real Estate Commission had an online complaint portal. A journalist I knew, a friend of Simone's, an investigative reporter at the Austin Chronicle, had been working on a piece about irregular practices in Austin commercial real estate for 4 months. Tyler's company had a compliance officer. His name was Richard Cho. I had met Richard twice at company events. He was 52, meticulous, the kind of person who took his legal obligations seriously because he understood personally what happened when people didn't. I had Richard's professional email address from a company newsletter Tyler had forwarded me 6 months ago. I made my list. I did not send anything yet. First, I needed to do the thing that was not on the list, the thing that had to happen before any of the rest of it. I needed to talk to Tyler. Not to give him a chance to explain, I was past that. Not to hear an apology, apologies were not what I was after. I needed him to know that I knew, before anything else landed on his desk, before Richard Cho's email, before the Chronicle, before the TREC complaint. I needed him to know that it was me. That is not revenge. That is accountability. Saturday morning. Tyler made coffee. I came downstairs in the yellow sundress I had bought last summer, the one with the small floral print that he had always said he liked, the one that felt like Austin in July, warm and easy and deceptively simple. I sat across from him at the kitchen table. He looked up from his phone. He smiled. "Morning," he said. "Morning," I said. I put my hands flat on the table. "I need to tell you something," I said. Something shifted in his face. Not guilt, not yet, just the subtle recalibration of someone who has heard those words before and knows they precede something significant. "Okay," he said. I know about Jordan, I said. Complete silence. I know it has been going on for at least 2 years, I said. I know it was happening while I was proposing to you, while we were planning a wedding, while I was trying on dresses and crying in fitting rooms because I thought it meant something. His face. I will not describe it in detail. I will say that the easy smile, the one that had been deployed so consistently and so effectively for 3 years, was completely gone. What was underneath it was smaller than I expected. Avery, he said. I'm not finished, I said. I also know about Round Rock and Pflugerville. A different kind of silence. What? The disclosure documents, the lending institutions, Jordan's analysis. He stared at me. How? It doesn't matter how, I said. What matters is that I know, and that I have documentation. He stood up. Avery, you need to listen to me. I don't, I said. I really don't. I stood up. I took the ring off. I set it on the kitchen table between us. I want you out of this apartment by tonight. Whatever you need to take it. Whatever you need to arrange it. The lease is in my name. You have until tonight. You can't just... I can, and I will. I picked up my coffee. I went to the porch. I sat in the morning light and I drank my coffee, and I looked at South Congress waking up on a Saturday. He came to the porch door once. You need to talk about the documents, he said. You should probably talk to an attorney, not me. He went back inside. At 4 p.m, he left with 2 bags and his laptop. He said nothing when he went. The door closed. I sat on the porch. The evening light came. The porch that faced west caught it the way it always did. I thought about the TREC complaint portal. I thought about Richard Cho's email address. I thought about Simone's journalist friend at the Chronicle. Not tonight. Tonight I was going to sit on this porch and let the light go and let this day be what it was. Tomorrow. Tomorrow was soon enough. The Trek complaint went in on Monday morning. I filed it myself through the online portal with a copy of Claire's documentation attached. Richard Cho received an anonymous package, Claire's idea, a copy of the documentation with no cover letter, on Tuesday. Simone's journalist friend received a tip on Wednesday with specific transaction numbers and a suggestion of where to look. I did not contact Jordan. I thought about it. I went back and forth on it. I decided finally that Jordan Webb was not my responsibility. He was Tyler's consequence to manage, and Claire's, and the Trek's, not mine. On Thursday, Tyler called me 6 times. I answered once. He said, "Do you understand what you've done?" I said, "Yes." I hung up. On Friday, the Chronicle reporter called me for comment on a story she was developing about irregular practices in Austin commercial real estate. I said I had no comment, which was true. I had already said everything I needed to say, in a manila envelope. 3 weeks after a Tuesday afternoon in July, when I stood in a hallway for 11 seconds and made a decision. The Chronicle piece ran 6 weeks later. I will not describe it in detail. It is a matter of public record and anyone who wants to find it can. What I will say is that it was thorough and specific, and that Tyler's name appeared 4 times in it, and Jordan's twice, and that neither of them was described in a way that was flattering or deniable. The Trek investigation opened within 3 weeks of my complaint. Tyler's company put him on administrative leave pending the investigation within 48 hours of the Chronicle piece. I do not know the current status of the investigation. My attorney has advised me not to discuss it publicly. I will say that the outcome I was working toward, Tyler Haines not being able to practice commercial real estate in Texas with the easy confidence of someone who has never been caught, is appearing to be in process. That is enough. The wedding was canceled. Obviously, the venue was understanding. They had a cancellation policy that applied, and I used it. The flowers, the catering, the photographer, all of it, unwound in the particular administrative work of dismantling something you built carefully over 4 months. I called every person on the guest list myself, 106 calls. Not texts, not a mass email, calls. Some of them were brief, some of them were longer. My mother's call lasted 40 minutes and involved a level of maternal outrage on my behalf that I found genuinely fortifying. My college roommate flew in from Dallas the following weekend, and we spent 2 days doing exactly nothing productive, and it was exactly right. I kept the dress. I know that might seem strange, but I had cried in a fitting room trying it on because it was exactly what I had imagined, and I had paid for it myself, and I did not see why Tyler Haines should be the reason I did not have it. It is in my closet. Maybe someday I will have somewhere to wear it. Maybe not. Either way, it is mine. I heard from Claire Webb 3 months after the coffee shop meeting. A text. Brief. She said, "I heard the investigation opened. I wanted you to know I think you handled this well." I texted back, "Thank you for the envelope." She said, "Thank you for knowing what to do with it." We have not spoken since. I think about her sometimes, the particular category of person she is. Someone who sat on information for 2 years because she did not want to be the one to use it, and then found someone who would. Someone who needed it for different reasons and would direct it properly. We were useful to each other. That is its own kind of thing. I moved apartments in September. Not far, still South Congress, still the same neighborhood, a different building 4 blocks away. 1 bedroom this time instead of 2. A smaller kitchen that I like for different reasons than I liked the other one. A balcony instead of a porch that faces east instead of west, which means I get the morning light now instead of the evening. It is a different kind of beautiful. I prefer it. What I know now, 8 months after the Tuesday afternoon, the hallway, the 11 seconds, is this. Revenge is the wrong word for what I did. Revenge implies emotion, implies heat, implies the particular energy of someone who is acting from pain towards relief. What I did was colder than that, more deliberate. What I did was correct a situation. Tyler Haines had been operating in 2 worlds simultaneously for at least 2 years. A personal world where he was an engaged man planning a wedding with someone who loved him. A professional world where he was structuring transactions in ways that were illegal and that would eventually catch up with him. I did not create either of those situations. I simply connected them. I made sure that the person who was going to walk down an oak tree alley in 10 weeks was the same person who would have to answer for Round Rock and Pflugerville. That is not revenge. That is integrity of outcome. Austin is still mine. South Congress is still mine. The blue bonnets will come back in the spring along the highway outside San Antonio, and I will drive down to see them the way I have every year since I was a child. And they will be exactly as they always are, and they will have nothing to do with Tyler Haines. The morning light comes through my east-facing balcony at 6:45. I drink my coffee there. I watch Austin wake up, and I think, I am still here. Exactly where I am supposed to be. That is enough. That is more than enough. That's the whole story, or the part I'm ready to tell. I said something at the beginning. Real revenge is quiet. It arrives in a manila envelope. It does not require you to raise your voice. I want to say something to anyone listening who has ever found out something they wish they hadn't, about someone they trusted, about a life they were building. You do not have to make a scene. You do not have to perform your pain for anyone. You are allowed to be quiet. You are allowed to be strategic. You are allowed to take 3 weeks and a manila envelope and deliver the truth to the people who need it, and then walk away and drink your coffee on a balcony that faces east and watch your city wake up and know that you are still here, still standing, still entirely yourself. I promise. Thanks for listening.